Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the suffering servant passage. We're in this middle section where God is speaking directly to Babylon, who hasn't even emerged, as an empire yet. And they are an emerging power in the region, but Assyria is the dominant power when Isaiah was working in Hezekiah's court. But he's talked about the Babylonians as necessarily carrying his people into captivity. This is something he has to do to prepare for bringing them home and bringing the Messiah. And he's laid out why, because of their sins. And it will all seem like a big triumph for Babylon and for their gods. But Yahweh, God, is reminding them here, and he would remind them even during the captivity, that he is the one true God. Let's not forget what happened to Nebuchadnezzar II when he became confident in his own greatness, and God gave him a period of time where he was insane and where he grazed in the pasture like an animal, and then was returned to sound mind after a period of time and learned his lesson. Anyway, God will continue to remind Babylon, you didn't do this, I did this. In this section, chapter 47, verses 1 through 7, he's going to talk about their punishment, and he's going to tell us why. And even though he sent them to carry off the children of Israel into captivity, they went too far in the way they treated the captives, in their destruction of Jerusalem and in the march back to Babylon. Once they got there, they were allowed to live in their communities and to thrive. But during the fog of war crimes were perpetrated, and they're going to pay for that. And he's going to mention that in this section. Now, let me say ahead of time that in this section, he is going to metaphorically describe the empire as a woman who is going to be violated. And that is the precise metaphor to use for a variety of reasons. But it's hard for us to read God describing a woman treated this way. He's not talking about a human woman. He's talking about the nation who had done this to other peoples. And now this nation, as a nation, is going to experience the same kind of shame. Okay. Isaiah 47, verses 1 through 7. Come down and sit in the dust, virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no longer be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind the meal. Remove your veil. Strip off your skirt. Uncover your legs and wade across the river. Your nakedness will be uncovered. Your shame will be exposed. I will take vengeance and will not spare a man. Our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit silently and go into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no longer be called Queen of Kingdoms. I was angry with my people. I profaned my heritage and gave them into your hand. But you did not show mercy to them. On the aged you made your yoke very heavy. Yet you said, I shall be queen forever. These things you did not consider, nor remember the outcome of them. Okay. But he's going to mention the punishment for this sin in the coming verses. But right now, he's describing Babylon as a virgin, as a young woman, who it was the most at risk anytime there was an invasion force. History, the entirety of human history to this very day, has borne out that in armed conflict, almost all the time, at least somewhere in the realm of conflict where civilians are involved, women are considered part of the spoils of war and are violated. So he is using this metaphor to describe the nation itself. In other words, God is not sending men in to violate the women of Babylon. That's not what he's saying at all. He's saying to Babylon, you violated my people in such a variety of ways. We know from Psalm 137 what they did to infants. And we know from this passage what they did to old people. They treated them like beasts of burden. You violated my people in so many ways, and now you as a nation are going to be violated. And he says, I will not spare a man. That's what he's talking about. And he's talking about their arrogance, their hubris. You were the queen of nations, but you're not. You're not the queen of nations, and it just is historically true. They were in power for such a short period of time, and the Persians did not treat them as badly as they treated the Jews, but they certainly absolutely destroyed their short-lived empire and established an empire that allowed the Jews to go home and that lasted for 3 times and more as long as the Babylonian Empire did. Okay, we'll talk more about the punishment that God will describe next time in verses 8 through 11. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.